Hola, amigos, and welcome to Spain Impossible. This is step 9 of the Fat Loss After 50 vodcast, and today we are going to talk about fasting. Now we've been in the blueprint for quite a while. We're beyond the 12 weeks. We should be almost completely plant based or moving towards it using some of those stepping stones like the protein sources that are actually vegetables, like Impossible and Beyond and corn and what's the other one? Morningstar Farms. There's a whole bunch of them available in your freezer section. Some of the stuff is available fresh. But if you need to use those things as a stepping stone to get yourself more and more plant based. They're not a long term solution. The long term solution is to get more and more plants into your diet. Those things are plants, but they do tend to be on the ultra processed side. And remember, we're trying to stay away from ultra processed foods in any form, whether they be the vegan meats or they be a pack of Twinkies. So just try to avoid them. If you need to use them a little bit, use them a little bit. If you need to have an Impossible burger, you need to have an Impossible burger just to get you through, craving a burger or whatever it happens to be. But what step 9 is really about is the two different types of fasting that we're going to do on the blueprint. And as you've built these habits throughout the course of this system, this program, is you get to a point where you can start playing around and doing some different things. This isn't, week 12 when you're trying to change to whole food plant-based. It's more like, week 15, week 16, week 17, somewhere in there where you just want to shake things up a little bit and you want to start doing some other things to, number one, hack chronobiology, which is the biggest thing. So the earlier you eat in the day, the less of negative effects it has on your body. So what we want to do is continue to front load our intermittent fasts as much as we can. If you can get your dinner back to, 7 hours before bedtime, 8 hours before bedtime, 9 hours before bedtime, 10 hours before bedtime, and you're not going to do this day, you're not going to go 6 hours one day, 7 hours the next day, 8 hours the next day. No, you've got to work yourself into it. So maybe spend a week at 6 hours before, and a week at 7 hours before, and a week at 8 hours before. But ideally, you want to get to about 10 hours before bedtime, because then you're really maximizing this intermittent fasting. And if you can hold off on your breakfast just long enough to squeeze in your exercise in the morning, that's even better. It just adds a little bit more time when you're awake and you're moving around and you're starting to move your body. You're lengthening this intermittent fast. So the second type of fasting that we want to talk about is throwing in a 36-hour fast. Now, a 36-hour fast seems scary. It really does. And the first time you try it, it may not work. And the second time you try it, it may not work. It is something to get used to. As you've moved your intermittent fasting back, the front load, so that you're completing dinner earlier and earlier in the day, sometimes, and this is what I like to do with a 36-hour fast, I like to do it the day after I have like a meal that is not normally part of the blueprint. Like my wife really loves tacos, and so do I. So on Monday nights, generally, we have taco night. And that is the one meal a week that I allow myself to have real meat, if you will. But I also make black beans or refried beans so that I'm packing in fiber, and I put those in my taco too. So that, and let's be honest, I have more than one taco. I usually have two, sometimes three, but I try and keep it to that and not anything else. I'm also putting lettuce and onions in the taco, and I'm also putting cheese in the taco along with, salsa, hot sauce, whatever. but I also use a little bit of sour cream. So that's my one meal a week where I kind of go, I don't care. And it's not, a meal of an entire red velvet cake, which red velvet cake is my favorite kind of cake. Um, so it's still on the healthy side. It's still a decent meal. I'm still including fiber. I'm still getting protein. And then the next day, I have dinner, because I wait for my wife to get home from work. I have that dinner at 6:30 ish, and I'm definitely done eating by 7. So then I consider it 7 o'clock. So from 7 o'clock, that dinner, I fast the entire next day, and then don't eat until breakfast on Wednesday morning. Now, I've been doing this for a while. I've done several 36-hour fasts. I know exactly how my body's going to react during this. And the big caveat is, if you are still medicated for a diabetes medication, blood pressure, cholesterol, any of these medications, if you're still on these, consult with your doctor before you do a 36-hour fast. Because if you're still taking anything that's going to reduce the blood sugar, thin the blood, any of those types of things, you want to make sure that it's safe for you to do this mini fast. It's not a 5, 7, 8, 10-day water fast. It is a 36-hour fast. You still want to take your supplements or your vitamins, whatever you happen to be taking, and you still want to drink the teas, and also make sure that you're getting some water in addition to the teas. All of those things are going to contribute to helping this work as good as it does. And, as you do it a couple of times, you want to try and start working it in maybe every other week, and then eventually get it to your fasting 1 day a week. And, like I said before, it's from dinner through the whole next day, and then to breakfast on the following day. So you're right in the area of 36 hours, maybe 37 or 38, depending on what time you get up in the morning and what time you typically have your breakfast. But again, maybe the first few times you do this on the fasting day, skip your 30 minutes of exercise. Just don't start your morning that way. I find it easier to do that because I'm in the habit now of taking my dog for a 30-minute walk and then coming home and making breakfast. So if I eliminate the walk, the day that I'm eliminating the breakfast, I find it's a little bit easier to just kind of flow through and not even notice that I'm not having breakfast. And another thing that I like to do, here's a tip for you. Anytime I start to feel hungry, I say to myself, no, thank you, I'm fasting. Try it. You'll be surprised how well it works, because you're just reminding yourself, no, thank you, I'm fasting. No, thank you, I'm fasting. So when you do your breakfast, this is what I do. I typically do my regular breakfast, but I add a little bit of extra fiber, because during this 36-hour fasting window, you're actually killing off some of the bad gut bugs that are still hanging out in your intestines. The good ones can survive a 36-hour fast, no problem. The bad ones, if they don't get fat and they don't get sugar and they don't get these things, they die off fairly quickly. Not all of them, but some of them will be reduced in number. So what you want to do is reward your good bacteria. That's the way I look at it. So I put a little extra fiber. Like this morning, I completed a 36-hour fast. When I made my breakfast of my rice, beans, and corn mixture, I threw in about an extra quarter can of black beans, just to provide a little extra fiber and reward those good gut bacteria all the way down in the bottom of the colon for putting up with me while I did a 36-hour fast. That's the way I think of it anyways. So maybe they don't care. I don't know. They're bacteria. So, you want to work up to doing this like once a week. I'm still not there. I'm still kind of like trying to throw it in, and I think from this point forward, I'm going to attempt to do this, have a family type dinner on Monday night, and then just fast on Tuesday. And I'm just going to make it part of my plan. But like I said, I've fasted for 36 hours on many different occasions, and I see the benefits of it all the time. So let's talk about the benefits of doing a 36-hour fast. Aside from the fact that you're eliminating an entire day worth of calories from your diet, and if you go back into the blueprint and eat the way that you have been eating and don't put extra in other than maybe that little bit of fiber for breakfast after the 36-hour fast, you're not increasing your calorie consumption for the week. You're eliminating that whole day worth of calories, which obviously can help with weight loss. So the benefits of a 36-hour fast are, number one is you're going to deplete your glucose stores and force your body into ketosis. Now, when you increase your ketone production, the brain loves ketones. Now, we're not talking about a keto diet in the sense that you don't ever get carbs, anything like that. This is a short term situation where your body goes from burning glucose to burning ketones. And an advantage of this is as you do this, your body becomes what they call metabolically flexible. So over time, it's going to be easier and easier and easier for your body, even when you're exercising, to go, hey, we're out of glucose, hit the fat stores. So why not train your body to become more metabolically flexible so that it can make that transfer easier and faster? So the big thing, and I know I've talked about this in another video, I've talked about fasting in another video, but I wanted to cover it a little bit better because it really does kind of support what you're doing throughout the blueprint. And even when you get to your goal weight and you're like, I'm good, I'm done, I don't need the blueprint anymore, this can be a really good way if you feel like you've kind of stepped over that line a little too far, you're used to it, and it's something that you can just throw in and go, hey, tomorrow I'm fasting, I'm going to have, dinner out with friends, and I'm not going to pay any attention to what, you know, macros I'm getting or anything, and I'm going to have that dessert, or maybe I'm going to have that couple glasses of wine, whatever it happens to be. You've now built up this ability to just go, hey, I'm taking tomorrow off, I'm not eating tomorrow. And one of the biggest benefits is autophagy activation, and it takes till you get into that 18, 20, 24-hour mark of a fast for autophagy to be activated. And what that does is it allows the cells to clean out all the little debris and toxins and things from the processes they do on a normal everyday basis. These aren't added toxins. These aren't it's like, hey, when it creates energy, there's a small, tiny particle that's left over. And autophagy helps get those little particles out of there, as well as, when you're burning up fat cells, there are toxins that the liver stores in fat cells. So those reintroduce themselves into the bloodstream and find their way around the body. So why not, once in a while, make sure that you're activating this self-cleaning cell system? And when you clean out your cells, you get enhanced cell efficiency. So your cells actually work better at what they're supposed to be doing just by simply completing this 36-hour fast once in a while. If you can do it every week, great. While you're on the blueprint, that's awesome. Once you get off the blueprint, you want to do it once a month just to, kind of clean things out, or whatever it is that you happen to choose to do. I'm just giving you the information about why it's so good to do this in your body and why I wish I had learned this, a long time ago. So it also lowers insulin levels and improves insulin sensitivity, which is how your body reacts to when you do introduce things that your pancreas needs to issue insulin to cover, which are, your simple carbs and carbs that get broken down and starches that turn into sugar in the body. It helps you deal with those things. And that's why I say, if you are medicated for diabetes, for blood pressure, for cholesterol, please check with your doctor before you do this. More than likely, he's going to say it's okay, but. And what you need to know is what comes after the but from the doctor. Maybe he tells you, keep an eye on your sugars, maybe do 3 extra finger pokes a day. Don't take your whatever it is for that day. So check. Always err on the side of caution, because there are so many gurus out there that are telling you, oh, just do this, just do this, just do this, just do this. I'm trying to be safe in my own body, and I want you guys to be the same thing. Be safe about this. Granted, it's only 36 hours without food. It's not an extended period of time, but check. So another thing that happens when you get to about hour 24 is you get an activation of human growth hormone. And human growth hormone, when you up that production, it helps preserve your muscles while your body's burning fat. It helps to help cells regenerate better and more efficiently. Some of the other things that you're going to notice, and maybe you won't notice them, but they're there, they happen during this 36-hour fast, is you reduce the inflammation in your body. Well, when you reduce inflammation, what kind of results do you get? Maybe your arthritis doesn't hurt so bad. Your blood pressure will go down a little bit, so that's good for your body. Anytime you can get your blood pressure to naturally lower itself, even if it's only for 24 to 48 hours, it's a good thing. Just takes a little pressure off the heart. And we know that inflammation causes most of the disease in the human body. So why not reduce that inflammation by doing this simple step of a 36-hour fast? You also get the benefit of improved cardiovascular health. Why? Because 90% of what's going on with your heart is due to inflammation in the body. So when you reduce the inflammation, your heart goes, thank you. You've taken some of the pressure off of me. So you get improved cardiovascular health. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. This is not suitable for everyone. If you've been on the blueprint this long, you're this deep in the program, 15, 16 weeks into the program, chances are you're just fine to do a 36-hour fast, unless you are still being medicated for some of these obesity-related disease. So please consult with your doctor, at least before you do it the first time. And maybe he'll tell you, hey, nothing wrong with doing a 36-hour fast, even if you want to do it once a week. But if you're still medicated, they may say, but, and give you some specific instructions. And those are the things that you need to follow. Don't follow me, follow doc says, hey, do this differently. Or maybe let's not do that yet. Let's wait till you're off the medications. That might be a better idea too. But you don't know unless you talk to him or her about it. So the last thing that I will caution you of is, whenever you are fasting, even for a 36-hour fast, listen to your body. If you feel dizzy, nauseous, and it's something that carries on, like it's not just a couple of minutes kind of feeling barfy, break your fast. You need to listen to and respect what the body's communicating to you. Break your fast. Don't push through and think that this is some magic bullet. But if you listen to your body, if you break your fast and you only make it to 24 hours or whatever, next time you put it in, try and go 26. You may find the first few times I fasted in my life, I found it very, very difficult. So if you're doing this and you've never fasted before, you've never gone more than 12, 14, 16 hours without food, your body may react and tell you, hey, what the hell is going on here? Put something in the belly. We need some fuel for the furnace. And you need to listen to that. But you can also, in a healthy way, push back by doing it again in a week or in 2 weeks and seeing if you can make it just a couple hours longer. So if you can't get to 36 hours the first couple of times you try, just listen to your body and push that window just a little bit at a time, and you'll get to the point where you can do the 36-hour fast, because it's between 24 and 36 hours where the major stuff in the body is geared all the way up. Autophagy's performing the best it can. Human growth hormone is upregulated. Your insulin levels are at their lowest. Your insulin sensitivity is improved at its peak. You've reduced the inflammation. You're now getting into the improved cardiovascular health. So you want to keep pushing to the 36-hour mark, because you want that 12 hours from 24 to 36 where your body is getting the biggest benefits from you not eating for a short period of time. So aside from all that, that's wonderful. That's great. I'm here to congratulate you. If you're this deep in the blueprint like I am, I'm down 54 pounds. I'm feeling amazing. I'm getting my exercise every day. I'm eating a whole food plant-based diet with the exception of one meal a week where I allow myself to just have a taco night with my family. And that's not affecting my weight loss. Even if I'm not fasted the next day, I did it this week. I didn't do it last week, and I still lost 2.8 pounds or something last week. So it didn't affect my weight loss at all. To have that one meal on Monday night a little bit later than I've been keeping my dinner, because I've been pushing it back, 2:30, 2:15, 2 o'clock, trying to get it as far back as I can so I can front load that intermittent fast and get the benefits that, the 14, 16, 18, 20 hours do. But I still need to get into that 24 to 36 hour fast. And I'm going to try to start doing that once a week. And I'll let you guys know how well it goes. So from here on out, I'm going to try this 36-hour fast once a week. And you guys can keep me accountable. But I'm still going to listen to my body. I'm not adamant about, oh, I got to do this, even though my body's just going crazy. Yesterday, I didn't really have any cravings. There were a couple of times where I was kind of like, I could eat something. And I was like, oh, no, thank you. I'm fasting. And amazingly, it went away. I'm telling you, that works. No, thank you. I'm fasting. So aside from the fasting stuff, step 9, keep moving. Keep moving. Get out and walk. If you're not to 7 days a week yet, 30 minutes of exercise, just walking, get out there and keep trying for it. Get to that 7 days, 30 minutes of walking every day. Get out your rebounder. If you don't have a rebounder yet, get a frickin' rebounder, because by this point in time, you want to be doing that once or twice a week just to get that lymphatic system flowing and keep it flowing. That helps with weight loss too, because it takes the junk out of out of the lymphatic system and helps it drain. So it's going to help with your weight loss. Fit in those small moments of exercise, the push-ups against the stairs before you walk up the stairs, the little walks at work, just making a few laps around the cubicle, using your rebounder for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes while you're watching TV. All of these things add up to movement. Remember, the basal metabolic rate is coming down because we're not as heavy. We're not moving around as much bulk. So we need to continue to pair small amounts out of what we're eating every week, small amounts, like 2 nuts, like, a slightly smaller amount of guacamole on your toast, a slightly smaller amount of oatmeal in your breakfast, a slightly smaller amount. All we're doing, because your basal metabolic rate is going down, 15, 20 calories a week. So that's what we're looking for. Stay ahead of the curve. So, if you're cutting out 2 of your tree nuts, you want to stay around an ounce, because that's where the medical research tells us that an ounce a day of tree nuts is the healthiest for your heart. Um, so, a little bit less of the seeds in your smoothie, a little bit less of the milk, the almond milk or whatever type of plant-based milk you're using in your smoothie. And oh, I forgot to tell you, I don't think I shared this. I cut out the coconut milk at 12 weeks. I apologize for not bringing that up earlier, but the coconut milk, full fat coconut milk, I was mixing with my almond milk. When I moved to going more plant based, I also wanted to reduce the amount of, even though it's healthy, fat that I was putting into my body. So I took that out. I'm using just straight almond milk um, that I've shown you before in my smoothies, and they're perfectly fine. They're perfectly good, whatever. I mentioned that in my breakfast, I was putting, a small amount of olive oil in the pan to try and keep things from sticking or whatever. I eliminated that. So the healthy fat that I'm getting is from the vegetables, and vegetables do have great sources of healthy fats. I mean, look at olives. Pop back a couple of olives a day. You're getting some healthy fat. All of these other veggies have trace amounts of healthy fats in them. So just make sure you're eating a plethora, at least as far as you can do, of different vegetables, and make them a variety of colors, because the colors give you different things. So just fit these things in and keep plugging away. Keep plugging away. The weight did not come on overnight. And if you have made it beyond 12 weeks, you are well on your way to making these habits completely subconscious. You still need to keep going. You still need to keep practicing these things day in and day out. But eventually your brain is going to take them up and go, all right, I give up. I give up. This is the way you want to eat from now on. And then you'll actually have to think, hey, I haven't had such and such in a long time. And you know what? I'm due for a bonus meal. So I'll have that for my bonus meal next Saturday, or whatever it is, whenever it happens to be. So this one's dragged on long enough, guys. I'm sure if you've gotten to this point, you are already subscribed. If not, just subscribe. Don't wait for YouTube to pop up one of these. I mean, if you're on the blueprint, be aware, subscribe. Smash the old thumbs up button. Let YouTube know this old coot does have something good to share. And I will see you guys on the next one. Come along for this journey, because in case you haven't noticed, it's already been one hell of a journey, just like I promised from the very beginning. So, hasta luego.